So in my last video, we discussed the new Razer application, which includes a stream mixer, much like the Wave Link software. Now the race is on. The question is, who's going to win the race? Today, we're going to look at Wave Link 1.4, which is now in beta, and we're going to decide what it's going to take to be the perfect USB microphone software. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we are discussing all things USB mic software. We've talked about it a lot as we've discovered different microphones on this channel. We've seen the Wave Link, we've seen what Blue has to offer, we've talked about the Rode Connect, and last time we saw Razer Synapse's updates, which include a lot of control for the new microphones that they have. It's been clear to see for a long time that software is the big difference maker when it comes to any of the USB mics. While not all USB mics are built the same, you can pretty much make them equal when you get VSTs and stuff like that involved. So the tipping point is always going to be the software. Wave Link has been in a huge lead for the longest time with the Wave Link software. Rode came along with the Rode Connect, which is limited, but not bad at all. There's also rumors of companies like Blue and Voicemeeter coming out with their own version of a simplified stream mixer. But the big problem is every single one of these pieces of software, including Wave Link, are all missing something or some things, and nobody has a complete software solution yet. So the question is, what is a complete software solution and who's going to get there first? So what I wanted to do today is look at the new Wave Link 1.4 beta software, which is actually allowing VSTs. So finally, VSTs are becoming a part of that software. So that's the next step up. That's something that a lot of people said were missing when Blue Voice, EPOS's software, a number of other things offer some kind of equalization, some kind of microphone control within the software itself, so you didn't have to do it in OBS or any type of audio software. Okay, so here's the updated Wave Link software. It's 1.4. Like I said, it's in beta. So down here, you can see the big addition is the addition of this little VST button. So if I click on that, we get this little add audio effects thing here. It says start by adding effects to your stream and monitor mix. So if I click here, I already have effects in here because I have Reaper plugins installed on the computer. But you can actually get more just by clicking here. And this is going to bring you to the Elgato website, which actually has notes on the beta upgrade, teaches you how to register VSTs, how to add them, and also where to find a bunch of free ones. So down here are some examples. So here's my Reaper plugins that I use, and it gives you links to download each one. And then here's a special noise gate by Auburn Sounds. Now, Reaper has a noise gate that I have no problem with, but this is all about preference at this point. Or you can just, download them, try them out, see what one works best for you. But they've given you the links to all these different ones, and these are all free. So you just get the ones you like, and you can apply them right away to any of your audio sources. But for our purposes, we're just going to use the Reaper plugins just to teach you how to kind of get this done. So generally speaking, you're not going to use this for most of these things. You might use it on your voice chat to kind of clean up their voice a little bit, but you're not going to be using this on your game audio. Generally speaking, you're not going to be using this for music or any of those other things because they're set the way they should be. What we're trying to do is clean up all the excess noise and all that sort of stuff and make your voice sound as good as possible. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click there, I'm going to click add, and I'm going to click an effect. So I use three major things when I'm on stream. I use compression, I use EQ, and I use a noise gate. So we'll start with the compression here. And now I have my own specific settings that I use. You can look up what settings work best for people, but also voices vary. So what I do is I change my attack to 15 milliseconds. I change my release to 80 milliseconds. And then my ratio, generally speaking, the kindest ratio is a 4:1 ratio for your compression, and then that's it. I just have to click done. Now, when I go back in here, you'll see that that is applied. You can hit the settings to go back in and change them, or you can hit the little garbage can to get rid of them. But I'm going to add some more plugins now. So the next thing I'm going to add is my EQ. So a 4-band EQ is kind of the easiest thing you can go for. You can actually add bands if you are so inclined. I don't go crazy with any of that stuff. Generally speaking, what I do, it's called the California Smile or just the Smile Curve. It's just to raise up your bass a bit. It's to lower your mids a bit. I'm doing this based on where I usually set my settings. if you've never done this before, you'll definitely need to go through and kind of make little changes here and there until you're happiest with how your voice sounds. So we go right about there for me, and I sound pretty happy with that. A good way to determine how to best set your EQ and stuff like that is to record your voice for just a little bit of time and then start playing it back. What I usually do is in OBS, actually, I'll play it back as a single file that's constantly looping, and then I'll keep playing with the Reaper plugins in OBS until I get them the way I want them. Now I can take that information and just bring it over here and apply that, and then it'll just be applied to my mic all the time. Okay, so I'm done with that one, and now we're gonna add that one final one that I like to use, and that's the noise gate. So you can see here when I'm quiet that there's gonna be just a certain amount of ambient noise and all that sort of stuff, and that's what we're looking to get rid of, so let's wait. So you can see it jumps a little bit from time to time, but it sits right around -54 with little jumps here and there. So what I'm gonna do is just raise up this little guy here. Now you can see that it's actually working because it drops off completely and there's no ambient noise being made when I'm quiet, see? Oh, I saw a little jump there, so we're gonna just raise it just the teeniest bit. Now what's really important is you have to find a balance because you wanna set it high enough that it's gonna cut off all that ambient noise, but not so high that it's gonna cut you off when you speak softly. So something you should do is actually practice by kind of like doing little whispers here and there. So all in all, that seems pretty okay. Now I want to take keystrokes and stuff into account because I don't want that to show up. So those are showing up when I'm doing that. So I don't want those. So I'm going to raise this up just a little bit more. Okay, we did it. So now when I'm typing, you can't hear that. You can hear me just fine. And all the little excess noises in the room are now gone from our lives. And like I said, for most of these sources, I'm not actually going to use that sort of thing. But say, for example, on your auxiliaries, you have another mic going in because you have a second person on stream or you're doing a podcast together or something like that. You can then set separate VSTs for that microphone, which then best accentuates their voice. But that's essentially it. So now you can hear the difference between my voice with the VSTs put on and then my voice with the VSTs taken off. Now it's worth taking a minute to actually think about what all these other software solutions are offering and what maybe Wave Link can take from, or the other companies can take from, to create a more complete solution. So let's think about the Rode Connect for a second. So it has a few things that none of the other programs have. It has the ability to record, and it has the ability to use sound pads. Both are amazing. They basically take all the functionality of the Rodecaster Pro and add it into its software, which is fantastic. Now, its limitations are you can only use Rode mics. Now with Wave Link, you have to have some kind of Wave device to get in the door to be able to use the program itself. So if you have the Wave 1, the Wave 3, or the Wave XLR, which I'm currently using right now, you're good to go. Once you have got that added, you can add any audio source. That can be any other mic. I've used multiple mics in this before. You can do the exact same thing with Razer Synapse. When I had the Siren V2 Pro plugged in, I also had the Wave XLR plugged in, and they both work. So like, this is a great solution for people who don't want to buy all the exact same mic or who just can't afford to do that. You might be somebody who already has a USB mic and you can't afford to shell out like $300 to get two of the same Rode mic, even though they've added multiple Rode mics that you can use, but it's still only Rode mics. That's good. And that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. To limit yourself so badly just seems crazy to me. Now I support the idea that obviously you have to have their hardware to be able to use their software, unless one day they decided to sell their software, which is not a bad idea actually. If the Wave Link decided to sell their software and say, hey, if you use the Wave, you get it for free. But if you buy it at this price, you can then use it and then not have the limitation of that. There can definitely be something in place that takes care of something like that. So yeah, any of you do that, that was my idea. Unless you already had that idea, I'm not going to sue, so don't worry about it. But think about adding those simple tools to the Wave Link. The ability to record and the ability to have sound pads right on that software. And there's room for it. When you have that thing full screen, you've got a lot of space to the side because you max out at 9 inputs. And I could easily have a 10-button sound pad that's all programmable. I can have a record function, and then you have a perfect podcasting solution all in one. Now let's talk about Blue Voice for a second, because they're doing something that nobody else is doing. And that is that they add a bunch of voice mod solutions into their software, which is wonderful. You can download other separate voice mod things and add that, but we're trying to create an all-in-one solution right here. So how hard would it be to add a voice mod solution directly to the Wave Link? I would suggest not that hard. You can already download the voice mod for your Stream Deck and then go through that route. So why not be able to integrate that, license that program, integrate it with Wave Link, and then you've got another fun tool at your disposal, which actually then helps you compete with the Go XLR as well, which has voice mod capabilities. And what does Razer bring to the game with Synapse? I know a lot of people have a problem with the Synapse app in general, and I know there's some buggy things going on with the microphone side of that right now as well. I didn't have as many problems as I actually read about and saw on different YouTube pages and stuff like that, but still, it's not perfect. But one thing they did, they got a couple more sources in. So while I personally don't need the full complement of sources at any given time, some people do. Some people have a lot more complicated streams than me. Some people have all sorts of different things coming in. That being said, you might not need it if you get all of those different integrations, because some people have a sound effects source, so that they have some kind of sound pad that comes in on a separate source. Well, if the sound pad was there, it could be its own separate source, no problem. But I would say get to a nice even 10 sources should be more than ideal for anybody. Oh, and something that I didn't even talk about, both Wave Link and Razer Synapse have a submix, which is super important, because then you can change what you're hearing in your headphones and what's going out to stream. Depending on your personal needs, you might need to hear the game a little bit louder in your ears than you're sending out to the viewers. You might need to hear your voice chat a little bit better. Like any kind of mix there is important. You might want to take your music way down. You might want the music to just be for your audience. That submix is huge, and it's something that nobody else offers. But Wave Link and Synapse are both doing that, and that's wonderful. Now that should be the goal for everybody. So let's review. What are the building blocks to the perfect software? We need multiple controllable sources, preferably with a submix. We could use a recording function. VSTs are a must. We could use other tools like sound pads and voice mods. The first company to figure this out and get it all put together is going to be the official pioneer. It's not going to matter that Wave Link started this. It's only going to matter who perfected it. I think personally that Elgato is in the best position to hit the finish line first, but you never know. Any of these people, HyperX could come out of nowhere and do this. We just don't know at this point. There's a lot of good mic companies out there. Blue might blow everybody away. Who knows? Even some third-party software that doesn't require any specific mic to be plugged in could build their own thing and sell it to you. And something also worth noting is the hardware aspect of the software control. For example, Elgato has its Stream Deck that has Wave Link controls. So I can, on my Stream Deck, mute specific sources, change volume settings, all these different things just with press of a button. So I don't have to even open up Wave Link each time and start to, mess around with the faders. So let's throw that in as another building block of success for this, which again keeps Elgato well in the lead because they're the only people who have a solution like that right now. But the bottom line is, the demand is clearly out there and people are finally starting to see it. It's taken a really long time for anybody to come even close to what Elgato was doing with the Wave Link, but Razer really stepped up with theirs. That one needs work, but that's fine. We're getting somewhere. Once all these other companies start going, there's going to be a fight for software supremacy, and whoever meets the most demands first is going to be the one that everybody looks to in the future. So that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All of that stuff helps me get seen. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. What kind of things would you like to find in your software that maybe you're not seeing now? Maybe I'm missing something completely, or maybe you're using Rode Connect and you're really missing that you don't have VSTs or anything like that. Let me know down in the comments. And I just want to say again, thank you so much to everybody who's been so supportive. I've been receiving such nice comments in my last few videos and stuff like that. I've been trying to answer as many of the comments as I can, but you guys have been really wonderful, and it's been a really positive community so far. Hopefully we can keep it that way. You never know, it's the internet, but I'm very appreciative. Until next time, gang, let's get to work.